let's go to a 3D engine. Sound, video, motion tracking has been done for a long time in theater. So stating that we're the first ones would be very stupid, and also there are a lot of systems that probably would be much more effective on one of those medium. However, we added another field of interesting, interesting graphics, I guess, which is a 3D engine. So who doesn't know what a 3D engine is? Actually? You all know, that's good. You don't. Okay, that's good. A 3D engine is, of course, originally it's technology coming from the army for simulation. But it is actually a virtual world consisting of points in space, a virtual space, and with that you can actually build objects and you can position a camera, and then in real time you can sort of move through it. We know this already a lot by all sorts of games that we can play on our computers. You just use your keyboard and you're going through a virtual world. I think it's interesting that we can also do that on the stage, and I will at the same time show you some other nice feature developed by Reactive Vision, not by us. This is called a marker. Fiducial. Is it right this time?
Yeah, it's right this time.
Keeps calling them fishoodles for some reason. And probably other people would say it's an amoeba, which is true. But the thing is that this can actually be recognized by the Reactive Vision system. You can see now there that the camera is looking at it, but not only that, you can also see there's a number attached to it. Number 2 in this case. I can actually read it by pen, but that the computer cannot do. So, nice thing is the computer recognizes actually this particular marker. So if we have more markers, which we have, it can also have several entities on stage. Now, let's connect the marker to our wonderful black block here, cube. So what we've done, we're using Unity 3D as an engine. We used to work a lot with Virtuals, but Unity has a few interesting features that we wanted to explore as well, which has a lot to do with physics, which I'll show you in a very short while. But let's start with the 3D engine. This is just a ridiculous scene that we built. We can zoom out a bit later on so you see where you are. But it's just to illustrate, so please don't judge me on the basis of the scenography of this world. Are we connected?
Not yet.
So what Ferdy is now doing is he's dragging the X, Y, and Z position of the marker, marker 2, you see there, fiducial 2, X, Y, and another thing which is really wonderful, which is rotation. Because if I'm standing on the floor with my blue suit on or hat or whatever, whether I look this way or that way, the computer doesn't know. There are algorithms who can actually sort of work with vectors, and then sort of you can sort of figure out where people are looking at, but that's not so easy. This is very easy because the shape already tells in which direction it's looking. So the cube is gone, which I can imagine because it has realigned itself, and there it is. So I can rotate it, I can move it in space, and it seems to mirror my movements, Ferdy.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can turn that axis around. Now, I can imagine that you're thinking, great, now we have a guy with a box, and we see also a box on the screen, which is true. But the thing is, I want to keep it abstract for the simple reason if I show too much umbrellas and all sorts of stories that I'm not good at, you probably judge me on the basis on that figurative story instead of the engine itself. So please replace this image with something interesting. You can build anything you like in 3D, which is really nice. I mean, you can also be right in space or in a Azure painting, or whatever you like, you can build in 3D in the computer. Now, I can imagine you don't believe it's 3D because we're just looking at a, well, sort of moving picture because the grass is waving. Maybe you can put the camera on number 3 so we can have a look around. We have used this technology already in a performance, which was actually done by students, the third-year students, in June. And the project was called Morphosis, which is on the basis of the text of Kafka. And what we have created is a screen with a marker on top of it. And that screen we can move around. And the nice thing is the computer knows where the screen is. Plus, it knows in which angle. So we have one beamer cutting out exactly the part of the screen it needs to project on. And then we could sort of move it around. Well, that's nice in itself. But what we created was a house in which the lead person, Gregor Samsa, is trapped. He wakes up in his bedroom. So we created this eerie house. And the actor could actually walk around with the screen, and through the screen you saw the parallel universe of that house. So if you would walk with the screen this way, you would go through the hallway and you see all the rooms. You could also turn it around, and that is an interesting step where we sort of get away from this flat wall and make it more special. And I'll come back to that a little bit later. Let's see if the camera works, because then we can also move on. But the fact is, we are in a 3D world. There's some bunker there, don't ask me why. And some very strange tourists there on a mountain. But the thing is those mountains are flat, they're photos, because I thought it's also nice to work with the idea of what theater also does, to work in layers of 3D images, which is also for scenographers interesting, because they might not be able to actually do 3D in a computer, but they're good in creating images. So they could still build a stage, a virtual stage, on the basis of pictures. Okay, good. Yesterday my students really fooled around with this. We gave them 10 minutes of instruction. I filmed it so I can prove it. They didn't know how it worked. And I must say, within 15 minutes they had sound, video and 3D connected, and they were scratching with the boxes and going back and forth in time and doing
mental.
all sorts of stuff that I'm like, oh, okay, so that we can do also with the engine. Great. Anyway, we're not going to show the brick wall, right?
Maybe we can do it later as a...
Yeah, okay. We'll show later some interaction with that 3D with the Wiimote, because I feel, and that is really a problem, that it's all reactive. So I do something, and something else, somewhere else, something happens. I think it would be great if I can throw a ball in that space, you see that ball actually going there, and maybe something throws something back, and we have a machine hidden there, and it just makes the ball like physical. Stuff like that I really like to look for, so there's some real, theatrically real connection between the virtual and the real world. Okay. Thinking about that, maybe you can make this black for a moment. We can, oh no, sorry, just